YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another NFL free agency signing grade video. I don't know how many of these are on the channel, but there's a lot of them. We've done a lot of them, and there's going to be more. Some solid free agents still out there. Some really good one, big names. Clowney, Winston, Todd Gurley's out there now. So more of these videos will come when more guys sign, but we're here with another one of these. And between both of our channels, we have a lot of free agency content, a lot of NFL content in general. So go to that link down below in the comments and check out our second channel. Please subscribe to it. And then you're going to want to go to that Twitter. Always talking football right now, always talking free agency, breaking news, instant reactions, answering questions. That's a must follow if you're a football fan or a Goat House fan. And then any links that you need, they'll be down in the description in the comments, as well as our new podcast, 4 episodes out. Really enjoying making an episode every single week. So check that out. We're on Spotify and Apple. Chris Harris, which happened a little later yesterday, is a big signing here. And I saw a 2-year $20 million yesterday, and today I'm seeing 2 years $17 million. So assuming it's $17 million, could get up to $20 million. Whatever it is, it doesn't really change my grade. I'm going to give them an A+ on that one. $10 million per year for a top-notch corner that can play as a top-tier corner in the slot, outside. He's played safety in the past. It wouldn't completely shock me if he played safety with the Chargers. But I think he'll play corner. I think he'll play outside corner opposite of Casey Hayward, because they do have Desmond King in the slot, who also can play safety. But Derwin James, and then they have some hope for Nasir Adderley, the rookie out of Delaware from last year. So pretty good secondary, pretty good defense in general. Bottom line is here, he went for cheaper than I thought he would. So that's an A+ deal. Chargers got better with this one. Another corner that came off the board here, Desmond Trufant. So we talked about Harris got 2-year, about $20 million, could be 17 to 20. And Desmond Trufant got 2-year, $21 million. So that's pretty surprising that Chris Harris Jr. got a little less than Desmond Trufant. Desmond Trufant got more than Chris Harris Jr. That's pretty surprising. But that doesn't change the fact that I like this signing for Desmond Trufant and the Detroit Lions. This is still a good signing that's not too expensive. What it is Chris Harris Jr. Signed for pretty cheap. That's really what it is. Trufant still can play, in my opinion. I think he's inconsistent. He'll have his bad game, then he'll have his really good game. Falcons defense seems like guys are kind of like that. They go elsewhere, they could be good. So I think there's a lot of upside with the signing. I like it. It's just really him being paid more than Chris Harris really has nothing to do with Trufant. Just more that the Chris Harris signing is that good right there. So an A for the Lions with Desmond Trufant. I like that one. Some upside there. Not too much risk, high reward potentially. Speaking of Lions, a player that they tried to trade recently but released, Devon Kennard, who was kind of, when Matt Patricia came in there, was kind of his little weapon. He always has that unique linebacker they like to use as a pass rusher. That's kind of the Patriots' way. And Kennard was an off-the-ball linebacker, kind of transitioned into a pass rusher. And for the limited amount of time he was a pass rusher, I thought he was pretty solid, pretty productive. So he can continue to get better. The Cardinals run a 3-4. To me, he's going to be a 3-4 edge rusher opposite of Chandler Jones. Obviously, they can bring somebody else in there too or have a rotation. But I think now that he's strictly going to, I don't see him being an inside linebacker at all in the Cardinals. So now that he's going to be strictly a pass rusher and have time to develop there and work with guys like Chandler Jones, I like this a lot. The deal was 3-year, $20 million. I like this a lot. A lot of upside here from Kennard here. So I give that an A. So a lot of good grades so far here. So this is one I'm curious about. I'm curious to see how it works now that he's going to be maybe a true pass rusher in a 3-4. Enough messing around. In the Lions, he was a unique weapon, but what the hell was he? Was he a pass rusher, off-the-ball linebacker? They couldn't really make up his mind with them, but the Lions got Jamie Collins, who's kind of already developed in that position. So it makes sense for the Lions as well. And then we're moving on to Malcolm Jenkins, surprising one, because the Eagles opted to decline his option, getting rid of him basically. And the reason being is because he wanted more money than that. They would have picked it up. He wanted more money. I've heard he wanted about $14 million a year, which is too much money. And so the Eagles were right to let him go. But what's weird is that he wanted that much money from the Eagles, but he's willing to take less, from from a team like the Saints. The Saints are a team that people take pay cuts for. That's understandable. Well, why wouldn't he kind of take it from his own team there, the Eagles, even though he played for the Saints before? But I thought that was a little odd. 4-year, $35 million. It's a lot less than $14 million a year. It's a heck of a deal. And I know Saints fans maybe wanted Von Bell back because he's still very young, and he's shown some signs. Struggled early on, but he was really young, but then showed signs of improvement potential last year. But for the future, maybe they wanted Von Bell back, but I think it's a pretty good pairing here, and I think it helps them right now, which they made it pretty clear, choosing Drew Brees over, which I don't think there was any other option in their heads. Choosing Drew Brees over Teddy Bridgewater, that tells you they're trying to win right now. They're not worried about the future yet. They're trying to win right now, and then Jenkins his move, the signing of Malcolm Jenkins makes sense. I can't spit it out. It makes sense in that route that they're winning now. So I'm going to give it an A. It's a cheaper deal. He'll be good with Marcus Williams, and it's another win now. You got some of these teams that they make one move. It's like, okay, this team's in win now mode, and we knew that. And then they make another move that's like, okay, that doesn't really make any sense for win now. The Saints are at least making sense here with some of these deals, I guess, or decisions. And then we move on to Andrew Whitworth, an interesting one, because I thought it was kind of borderline retire or come back for a year with the Rams here. I knew he was probably going to come back. And then we go see the contract details here. 3-year deal. A 3-year deal. That was very surprising to me. 3-year, $37.5 million. A guy that took a big step down last year. I'm always in my opinion, my opinion's always been that you're as good as your unit. You need the whole unit to play well. It makes your job easier. And the whole unit was a lot worse last year, so that made Whitworth's job a lot harder. So maybe that is why he looked not quite as good as he was the years before. But yeah, the 3-year deal kind of confuses me. Kind of could be hurting yourself in the future. So I'm going to give him a C on that. Obviously, they needed to bring him back. There was really no other options here. If he would have retired, maybe Jason Peters, another guy that's like borderline. But I guess they needed to do it. But the Rams front office has been a little messy recently. They cut Gurley. They pretty much had to, but they kind of set themselves up in a tough situation here. But a weird one that he signed a 3-year deal. That's what they got. It felt like Whitworth kind of had the leverage here too. And then some extra signings, a bunch extra signings here that we'll discuss. A couple that are related to the Vikings at the top. First, the Vikings do sign Michael Pierce, 3-year, $27 million. This is one that's growing on me. They get rid of Linval Joseph, their nose tackle, and then the way Linval Joseph was going to get paid to what Michael Pierce is getting paid now, they save money. But it turns out that Linval Joseph's deal with the Chargers is cheaper than Michael Pierce's by a little bit. But it's growing on me because it's kind of a similar thing they did with Linval Joseph a few years back when he came from the Giants. Like, he was solid, nothing crazy. The Vikings brought him in and then made him into a Pro Bowl level player, and now he's kind of aging. Now they bring in Michael Pierce, 27 years old. He's already proven stopping the run, and they can develop him further. They're very good at developing these defensive, not really developing, but kind of getting the rest of the potential out of them at this point of their careers. So kind of growing on me here. He was a little more than expensive than I expected, maybe just a little bit, but it's definitely one that's growing on me, a nose tackle that what they needed there. So Pierce to the Vikings gets a B. Former Vikings slot cornerback Mackenzie Alexander to the Bengals, 1 year, $4 million. Was surprised by this one because, seeing the 1 year, $4 million, like, how did the Vikings not want to bring him back for that? I don't see him as not wanting to go back there. I think they just didn't offer it, but that's kind of confusing because that's a cheap deal. I think when he's on the field, he's proven to be a top 10 slot corner in football. There's a shortage on slot corners, so I guess it's not saying a whole bunch. But I thought he's been a pretty darn good one and a young one. So the Bengals pair him with Trey Waynes. That's an A for me. Does have a little bit of injury concern, but I like that. And another former Vikings player that I did not expect back in Minnesota because he wasn't too happy there. The Lions signed Jerron Kearse, 1 year, $4.5 million. That's an A+, or it's actually 2.5. So that's actually a typo there. So I apologize for that. $2.5 million for Jerron Kearse, and that's an A+ deal because Well, you look back at last year, he kind of filled in when they needed somebody in the box. They needed somebody at corners, need somebody at safety. He's originally a strong safety. To me, he can start. He's starting worthy at strong safety, slot corner, or outside corner. So you can do a lot with them. And whenever he was on the field, he was pretty darn good. And then they would, when somebody would come back from injury or they're ready to go again, they would kind of take him out, and I think he kind of got upset with that, but he showed that he can play. So that's a low risk, big time high reward for the Lions. And again, it was 1 year, $2.5 million. The graphic is wrong. Sorry about that. That's an A+ deal. Cardinal side, and Devondre Campbell, the linebacker from the Falcons, highly productive year last year. 1 year, $8.5 million. Surprised it's only 1 year, but he's gonna. I really like what the Cardinals are doing with this. With the linebacker unit, adding Kennard to Chandler Jones on the inside, it's going to be Campbell and Hicks. It's a pretty good group there. 1 year, 8.5. I like that. Just, surprised it was 1 year, but, I don't take any points away, I guess, from that. Browns signed Andrew Billings. Andrew Billings is a solid nose tackle, can stop the run. Not going to be involved in any kind of, quarterback pressure, any pass rush at all. That's okay. His job is to stop the run. And that's kind of what the Browns needed. They're in the rotation because they kind of have the guys in there. Sheldon Richardson, who's more of the pass rush defensive lineman. Ogunjobi kind of brings a mixture. So you get kind of the run-stopping abilities from Andrew Billings and a really cheap deal, 1 year, $3.5 million. Kind of expecting them to get around this range, but I still like it for the Browns. It's an A. The Raiders signed Carl Nassib, 3 year, $25 million. $17 million guaranteed is what makes this a D. I don't like that at all. I don't get why they had to go dish out $17 million to Carl Nassib. The Raiders kind of have their young defense ends in place, with Crosby and Cleveland Farrell. So my thinking was it's either go big or go home there. Because you do want to develop the young guys, but you can get better, and you can't be afraid to get better, but you kind of just go middle of the pack or under middle of the pack, I think, and dish out $17 million guaranteed. I do think he's a really good fit for the rotation, but I just really don't like it. It's a D. And the Rams with another question move, Ashawn Robinson, who has not been able to figure it out for the Lions. The only good thing of him is he's pretty young still. 2 year, $17 million was way more than I thought. Actually, kind of remembering myself looking through the free agents and kind of comparing guys to each other. I thought Billings actually and Robinson were going to get around the same deal. I thought Robinson would get a little bit more, and you see the differences in contracts there. He does have upside because he's still young, and then we thought we would see more from him out of Alabama, so I guess it's still there, but he just hasn't shown it yet. Playing with Aaron Donald could be good, but I just don't like the contract. Seahawks signed Brandon Shell. They're just getting these average offense linemen in there. It's kind of what they do, and I'm sure they'll play better than where they were in the past. 2 year, $11 million, somewhat cheap. He hasn't really played too well in the past, but still cheap, and I think he'll work out for Seattle. It's a B. Cowboys signed Anthony Brown, the corner, 3 year, $15.5 million. Nothing too expensive. I don't have a problem with Anthony Brown's game. I just feels like the Cowboys, it just felt like they were kind of just done with him at one point last year. And he's a slot corner. They have so many slot corners. It feels like even their safeties, like Woods is a safety for them, but he's originally a slot corner. That's probably where he's best. It just they need outside corners and true safeties out there, and that's kind of not where they're spending their money here. So I gave it a C. And the Patriots signed Bo Allen, 2 year, $8 million. I mean, he's got some upside playing for the Patriots. He'll probably be better than where he was recently. The Buccaneers, he had some better players ahead of him. But, what I don't like is that Danny Shelton played pretty well for them, and he was getting better, it felt like clearly, and has more upside than Bo Allen. And they got the same exact deal, but the Patriots chose to go Bo Allen instead of Danny Shelton. So, not a huge fan, but Bo Allen will play pretty well for them. So, but it's still a C because I just don't really understand it a whole bunch. So that's this group of signings. This is, I don't even know what number video this is. 4 or 5 of these are out. Plenty more to come. Grading all the signings and then grading the trades on our second channel as well. You click that link down in the description in the comments. You can check that out. Please subscribe to both. Check out our Twitter. There's a link down below. It's a must follow right now at this time of year, any time of year for the NFL. Always talking football, answering any questions. And can't wait to get on with the NFL draft coverage once we're through free agency here. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.